that he is hiking the Pentagon budget from $1 trillion to $1.5 trillion. Just announced that. Why? Well, it's hard to know without asking him. He'll explain. But big picture, obviously, that's the kind of budget that a country that anticipates a global or regional war has for its military. There's no other reason to do that. That's not a peacekeeping budget. That's a war budget, a big war budget. So I think it's fair to expect, and all the signs suggest, that we're going to have a big war soon. A big war soon. I think everyone expects that to happen. Hope it doesn't happen, but obviously we're moving in that direction, toward a world war. Sorry.
What's happening in Iran has kept the world on edge. But what the US is planning to do next as its arch rival in the Middle East faces unrest has become a top global talking point.
I think one thing President Trump is very good at is always keeping all of his options on the table, and airstrikes would be one of the many, many options that are on the table.
As the airbase of the United States in Qatar buzzes with activity, the Department of State urged its citizens to leave Iran immediately. As the war clouds loom large, another US move could startle the Ayatollah Khamenei regime. A US carrier strike group is moving from the South China Sea to the Middle East, with its arrival expected in about 1 week, multiple sources reported. On the same day, the US Embassy in Qatar confirmed normal operations and staffing, but urged its personnel to exercise increased caution. The embassy has also advised limiting non-essential travel to Al Udeid Air Base. The movement of USS Abraham Lincoln, America's 5th Nimitz-class aircraft carrier, is making ripples. The largest warships in the world, Nimitz-class carriers, support and operate aircraft that engage in attacks on airborne, afloat and ashore targets. Aircraft carriers are the centerpiece of America's naval forces. The presence of the Stryker Group in Iran will give an unprecedented edge to the US if it decides to go to war with Iran. Recently, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, declared peak battle readiness. The Iranian Ministry of Foreign Affairs said that Iran will not underestimate situation changes and is closely monitoring the US's deployments of personnel and weapons at military bases in the Middle East. Heightened tensions in the Middle East are prompting US military movements and diplomatic precautions as regional powers brace for potential escalation involving Iran. Khamenei's regime is also keeping a close watch on Qatar, which houses US's largest airbase in the Middle East. US fighter jets have increased activity at the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, which is located 200 to 300 kilometers away from the border with Iran, and the US government has issued an emergency alert to urge its citizens to leave Iran. According to reports of Israeli media, several US warplanes, including KC-135 aerial refueling tanker and B-52 strategic bomber, took off from Al Udeid Air Base on Sunday night. The airbase, located about 35 kilometers southwest of Doha, capital of Qatar, is home to more than 10,000 US soldiers. It is one of the largest US military bases in the region, with a 500-meter-long runway capable of accommodating large military aircraft, such as B-52 strategic bombers and transport planes. It is the same base that came under attack by Iran last year. Amid mounting exchange of threats, and given Trump's unpredictability, the possibility of war cannot be ruled out.
Something strange happened over Iran, and the sky told the story. Not explosions, not sirens, silence. An unnatural silence. Look up at Iran's airspace and you see almost nothing. No crowded flight path, no steady stream of commercial jets, no casual east-west traffic at all. Just emptiness. This is unusual, right? Iran normally sits at the heart of global air routes. Asia to Europe, Europe to the Middle East. Busy, constant, alive. But overnight the skies went all quiet, except for 2 planes. Just 2, and that is where the story turns explosive here. The only aircraft seen over Iran, it belonged to Mahan Air. and Iranian airlines already under US sanctions, accused by Washington of moving weapons, accused of carrying equipment, accused of acting as a logistics arm for Iran's powerful Revolutionary Guard. These were not any random flights basically. So where did they come from? Southern China. One flight from Guangzhou, another one from Shenzhen. Both took the same direction, both headed west, both flew straight towards Tehran. Wait, no other commercial plane followed? None crossed Iranian airspace, none passed through. Just two of these planes. Alone in the sky? This raises a sharp question here. If civilian flights are grounded because of tensions, then why are these planes flying over Iran? And what exactly are they carrying? Well, the timing makes it even more suspicious. US and Iran tensions are peaking. Military alerts are rising, threats and warnings, they are flying on the ground. And in the air, China-linked routes, they quietly move towards Iran. Officially though, nothing has happened. No cargo list released, no public explanation given. But intelligence watchers, they are alarmed because this looks less like commercial and more like coordination. And you know why China matters here? Because Beijing has strong ties with Tehran. Energy, trade, strategic alignment against the US pressure here. If military equipment is moving, this changes the balance. And the airspace, it tells its own story. When commercial airlines stay away, it means risk is high. When sanctioned carriers fly anyway, it means urgency. And this is how modern power moves. Not always with convoys, not always with ships, sometimes with quiet flights through empty skies. Washington is watching, so are regional militias, militaries, and intelligence agencies, because if arms are moving now, they are moving for a reason.
Still burning thousands of protesters alive. They also issued an assassination threat against you over the weekend. I know that you can't talk about what's on the table, but what is your response to Iran's leadership and their regime continuing to taunt you, threaten you, especially given over the weekend you said it's time for new leadership in Iran?
Well, they shouldn't be doing it, but I've left notification. Anything ever happens, we're going to blow the whole country is going to get blown up. So we've, originally Biden should have said something, when they made a statement. We always said, why isn't Biden saying anything? Because he didn't. But a president has to defend a president. Like if I were here and they were making that threat to somebody, not even a president, but somebody like they did with me, I would absolutely hit them so hard. But I have very firm instructions. Anything happens, they're going to wipe them off the face of this earth.
Where do things stand with Iran? The U.S. has got sizable military assets.
We have a lot of ships going that direction, just in case. We have a big flotilla going in that direction, and we'll see what happens. We have a big force going toward Iran. I'd rather not see anything happen, but we're watching them very closely. I stopped 837 hangings on Thursday. They would have been dead. Every one of them would have been hung. This is like from 1,000 years ago. This is an ancient culture. Very smart people, by the way, but it's an ancient culture. 837, mostly young men, were going to be hung on Thursday. And I said, if you hang those people, you're going to be hit harder than you've ever been hit. It'll make what we did to your Iran nuclear look like peanuts. And an hour before this horrible thing was going to take place, they canceled it. And they actually said they canceled it. They didn't postpone it. They canceled it. So that was a good sign. But we have an armada. We have a massive fleet heading in that direction. And maybe we won't have to use it. We'll see.
You said would you like the supreme leader to step down or to go into exile?
Right now. I don't want to get into that. But they know what we're looking for.
You said today that they want
There's a lot of killing going on.
You said today they want to talk and we'll talk. So if you set something up and they asked you to...
Yeah, I do. I would. I mean, that happened. But, you know, we've talked to them a lot. They should have made a deal before we hit them with the nuclear, because we really, that was a devastating hit. That whole area is out of play. And if they try to do it again, they're going to have to go to another area. We'll hit them there too, just as easily, much more easily. Because that was very advanced. They were building that for 10 years. And they'd have to start anew. So, you know, that was a total obliteration.
The Middle East is sliding toward a dangerous breaking point. Iran's military is now on high alert as U.S. warships push closer to its shores. Iranian submarines are reportedly moving toward the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical choke points for global energy. At the same time, Washington's military buildup is accelerating, signaling that deterrence may be giving way to preparation. Iranian naval forces, including Ghadir and Fateh-class submarines, have reportedly been deployed toward the Arabian Gulf. These vessels are designed for stealth operations in shallow waters, a clear signal that Tehran is preparing for worst-case scenarios. Iranian officials say the moves are defensive, but the timing suggests readiness for a major confrontation. Behind the scenes, Iran's leadership appears to be bracing for impact. According to multiple sources, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has moved into a fortified underground bunker in Tehran. Security officials reportedly assessed that a U.S. strike is no longer hypothetical. Day-to-day operations of the Supreme Leader's office are now said to be handled by his son, Masoud Khamenei. Meanwhile, the U.S. military posture is becoming unmistakable. President Donald Trump has confirmed that an American armada is heading toward Iran. The aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln and multiple destroyers are now operating in the Indian Ocean, backed by F-15E Strike Eagles and waves of U.S. military cargo aircraft. Britain has also deployed Typhoon jets to Qatar, adding to the pressure. Iran has issued its starkest warning yet. A senior official says any attack on Tehran would be treated as an all-out war. Missile defenses across the region remain on maximum alert, mirroring the buildup that preceded last year's strikes on Iranian nuclear sites. Officials call it deterrence, but history shows deterrence and war often look the same until it's too late. All this is unfolding amid Iran's worst internal unrest in decades. Thousands are dead, tens of thousands detained, and the regime is facing mounting pressure at home and abroad. Iran's leader is underground, U.S. warships are closing in, and the region is holding its breath, waiting to see which side makes the next move.
It is now 85 seconds to midnight. It is the determination of the Bulletin Science and Security Board that humanity has not made sufficient progress on the existential risks that endanger us all. We thus move the clock forward. The Doomsday Clock is a tool for communicating how close we are to destroying our world with technologies of our own making. The risks we face from nuclear weapons, climate change, and disruptive technologies are all growing. Every second counts, and we are running out of time. It is a hard truth, but this is our reality. It is now 85 seconds to midnight. This is the closest humanity has ever been to midnight.